All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Ignite Initiative. I have a great friend on, Jon Kelly. Jon is an expert in LinkedIn automation and sales automation and a bunch of other things too.
Yeah, seriously.
Welcome, Jon.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan. I've been listening to you guys every episode you've had, just getting better and better.
All right, cool. That means a lot to me, actually. Yeah. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of different podcasts, and you guys are killing it.
I watch all your clips. They're hysterical on all your podcasts. We'll get into that stuff. And then, but first, I mean, we'll go over how we met. So, for those of you that don't know, my dad owned a beer distributor in Long Beach. And then, what were you, a sales rep for different companies? I don't even know. Yeah,
I was a sales rep for Claire Rose when I met your dad. It's funny because that was my first real sales job.
Okay.
I was a merchandiser before that. And the merchandiser, you're just packing out and hanging signs and stuff. And the guy who was on his route, the route that he was on was historically, people were terrified of it. Had the worst customers
because of the people
that owned the stores on that route. So I was like, you know what, forget it, whatever. I'll just jump in and do it. It was my first opportunity, and I'll never forget the first day that I met him. The guy who was
my dad.
The first day I met your dad, the sales rep that was there was like, this guy's the toughest guy to deal with. You're going to spend hours in his store all the time. And then he hands me the keys to the van that I was driving and hands me the phone for the route. And your dad is the first person that calls 5 o'clock on a Friday night. And he's like, who is this? I'm like, Jon, I met you 3 times this week. I'm the new sales rep. He's like, where's Vinny? And I'm like, no, it's Jon. I told you I'm going to be the new sales rep. He's like, I need a Rolling Rock keg. And I'm like, it's
now?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock on a Friday night. He's like, I told Vinny I need a Rolling Rock keg. It's not here. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh God, here we go. I don't know what to do. I'm calling my boss. He's like, you got to go get one and bring it to him. I go to the office, get a keg. I'm driving it down there. He calls me back. He's like, I found it. Forget it. Forget about it.
Oh my God. So you had it already?
Yeah. So that's how my whole relationship with him started out. But the truth is that I really do. I owe a lot to him, man. He pushed me out of that business into doing stuff on my own. He's inspirational, figure in my life.
Yeah, at first you don't recognize it and realize it. But it'd be funny because you'd be in there sometimes and I'd be packing stuff out, getting yelled at left and right, sweating like crazy.
That list he used to give you guys.
Give me a list. I was carrying kegs out to people. It'd be 100 degrees. The warehouse would be like a freaking sauna.
Yeah, it was a good learning process for me though, having him and some of the other guys on that route really tough. Once you earn their respect though, they'll let you do whatever. You know, he's
that's anything, right?
It was less sales than anything at that point. It was just a relationship.
True.
Anything new that came out, he'd be like, yeah, if you believe in it, bring it in. I'll try it. If it doesn't work, you take it out. He was just always fair, And you gain experience from that too, just overall. So Jon, you were there. And then from there, what did you do next? I know you left that industry, and I'm not sure the in-betweens exactly. What happened? What happened exactly? I wanted to, when I was at Claire Rose, that's the bud wholesaler here. I started to feel the ceiling of it. I was really young. Okay. I was the youngest supervisor that ever in the whole entire company. I was in my 20s doing it. And I'm looking around, it's a lot of older guys, and they're kind of holding everybody back. They're not really... trying to do too much, protecting each other and shit. And I'm like, this isn't for me. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I went and worked for a couple of breweries. I worked for Greenport Brewery out on the East End. I worked for Kona. That was my last job.
So you love beer then, really?
Yeah, it was always what I wanted to do. That's where I got started. When I was 12 years old, my mom was like, the beer distributor down the block's hiring. Go down there, tell them you're 14, they'll hire you. So she pushed me right out of it. And then I worked there off and on for 10 years and stuff like that. But yeah, I was in the beer industry for 25 years. The last stop was at Kona. I was working in the city right before the pandemic. I always wanted to work in the city, and then I immediately regretted wanting to work in the city.
So you bringing stuff off the trucks? No,
sales. And, going to bars and stuff like that. But I quit. I started talking to my partner Jesse. He's best friend of mine from high school. He wanted to do something different other than what he was doing. We were talking about opening up an agency, just doing anything, just to try to get out of what we were doing.
Yeah.
So we were working on that for 3 or 4 months. I was still working for Kona, and then I quit the Friday before the pandemic, which was terrifying. So Tuesday, everything shuts down. I just quit my job.
Paid for a little bit.
Yeah. So the guy who took my job never left his house for 18 months, got full salary. I could have been doing both, but whatever. I'm not looking back on that. And,
of course.
Yeah, we just kind of evolved.
It would have slowed you down too, probably.
Definitely. So yeah, that was the end of that. And then we started this. like I said, every time somebody asks me what we do, I struggle because we have done and we still do a bunch of different things. We've done Facebook ads, we've done video, we've done commercials, we do podcasts and stuff like that. But really where we settled in was helping other businesses generate leads on LinkedIn.
Got it.
And that's the main part of our business, called Digital Native.
Digital Native. Yeah. And you're the COO, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So I'm behind the scenes doing all of operations. That was another thing, early out, jumping into this side, it's like, I didn't really like sales. I was just good at building relationships, but like cold calling and all that stuff, brutal. Not for me. Pretty introverted guy. So, so now I'm on the operations side of that. I build out all of the services with our team. And my partner, Jesse, he does most of the sales.
How did that first start? Like LinkedIn's not like, it's a little bit newer, I guess you would say, but like, how was that first a possibility? You found out from somebody else? You guys tried it yourself? Like what happened?
Yeah. So it was, so we have one client who we still have to this day. We've had for six years now, and he's just always on the cutting edge of everything.
Okay.
So we were redoing his website. We were helping him with his CRM, and he's like, yo, check this out. This LinkedIn thing this company's doing for me. And back in the day, it was a lot of like, they would run automation for you and you would have to do it yourself. And we saw the opportunity to pair the automation with, we'll teach people how to sell and we'll book calls and we'll generate leads for people in that way.
Yeah.
And what was happening early on was we were churning a lot of clients because they didn't see the value in Facebook and not in Facebook, just like organic or Instagram organic. So we were like, what do people need? What do we need more than anything? It's just more people to sell to.
Yeah.
And that's really how it got started out. And then we just got super passionate about it. And it's evolved over the years. It used to be you could send 1 million requests and 1 million messages, and LinkedIn tightens that up, and you got to kind of evolve, like adding content in the mix, making sure your profile's set up the right way. So, but still, we've really gone from doing anything and everything. Somebody would walk up and be like, can you do my website? And we'd be like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll figure it out. Or Facebook ads. Yeah, we'll figure it out. And now we've really just kind of settled.
Just finding your groove, basically.
Yeah.
Now, before that, it was a pallet business there, or still is, or?
Yeah, so that's what the whole like media company, marketing company started out of. My partner, Jesse, him and I are best friends from high school.
Okay.
His dad had a pallet business and like shipping supply business.
Okay.
It's super old school business. And he started making these funny commercials of like the secret life of a pallet, and it would be like a pallet going around the country, and his voice would be the pallet to try to get more customers.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. He sold like Shrek Trap that you wrap around pallets, and he made a video where he was a werewolf, or his brother was a werewolf, and they were wrapping him up, and like, so he was getting customers from that. Crazy. And then everybody was like, oh, this stuff's great. Like, how can you do this for me? And that's really what the agency started out of.
So helping those people.
Yeah, helping.
So he was like an expert in that industry, he knew the industry, and you kind of started that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we got away from it, and we were just doing all the things we were doing for everybody. We were in local networking groups. We were doing marketing for them, doing content creation for them. And now we've really, in the past 12 months, come back full circle, and we only really sell to the packaging and pallet industry. Because there's nobody doing it.
Now, why do you think so? Because of that? Because nobody's doing it? Or because you guys understand it more?
Both. Yeah. We understand it more. It's, we understand the pain points of the owners. A lot of them are still first generation.
It's key.
Yeah. A lot of them are still first generation. They're very hesitant to do anything like new. But also they either want out or they want to pass it on to the next generation. And you can't, be using spreadsheets.
There's no systems in place.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's funny because I was just on the call this morning with a gym owner, somebody new I met from North Carolina or South Carolina, one of the Carolinas. But he's like, I talked to all these marketing agency companies, and like nobody's a gym owner understanded our pain points and what we need. I could tell from you guys that you guys understand the gym business. And I was like, yeah, I mean, we live it every day, so we understand it. So I think that is a huge advantage in running an agency, of knowing the business first.
Yeah.
I think a lot of agencies don't know the business first, so it's hard to understand what they need and want.
Yeah, it's such an advantage, especially for you guys too. It's like, the language, you've done it, you've lived it, you breathe it.
Yeah.
On our side, we get a little pushback that like people think we're going to take customers from them and stuff like that.
Oh, I see that because it's okay.
Which is never the case.
Is there non-competes you guys sign with them?
Yeah, we sign NDAs, we sign non-competes, we sign all kinds of stuff, because ultimately we still have the packaging and pallet business, but it's very local. It's mostly just Long Island. We don't work with any Long Island
Just kind of keeping it going.
Yeah, but ultimately this is the business we want to be in.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an advantage. And for you guys too, it's like everybody's trying to dip their toes in it. But if you could say I did it,
Of Of course.
It's such a leg up.
It really is. And there's so many companies out there that I've talked to in the past. That's how it started for us. Is like in the past, I would meet with all these companies and they didn't understand what we needed. Like, those ads will get you 50 clients in 30 days, whatever. Like, most gyms can't even handle that many people,
right.
number one. So you don't even know that. So, like, our angle is like, we won't get you that. We're going to get you systems first, then we'll get you some leads. Like, that's kind of our angle. And people understand that more and they speak to it more. So it's all about angling your marketing and kind of getting in there your own way.
Yeah, and evolving too. Like, it's an interesting that you say that, because LinkedIn, business on LinkedIn and generating leads on LinkedIn, what we found very fast was that we were good at what we're doing. We're still great at turning over leads on LinkedIn. But what happens after that is a big problem. Like companies not having systems, not having CRMs to do it. And like, we'll turn over 10 leads a week. We'll get on the monthly marketing call and they're like, we didn't even reach out to half of them.
Exactly.
What are we doing here?
Exactly.
So now our business is evolving a little bit more into that part of it too.
Helping that part of it, right?
CRMs, and follow-up sales process.
We run meta ads for a bunch of clients now. And the problem is that I'm seeing with it is like, we'll get you some leads. And, what we're getting right now is like the $10 to $25 leads, basically. Anything below that, I feel like, is usually just wasting some time, honestly, on the gym owner's part. Yeah. But anyways, we try to stick to that range, honestly. So we target it down too much. I mean, a little bit, not too much, though. But yeah, when we do that, it's tough because we'll get these gyms a lot of leads, but if they don't know how to follow up on it, it's like, what are we really doing this for? Yeah. And that's almost like bad business because like they look at you as a negative, but it's really not a negative. It's hard. Getting somebody to raise their hand and say, I'm either interested right now or one day down the line, I will be interested, is the most valuable thing in business. Yes. And you have to keep those people in your universe. Think of them like your audience now, and you got to be in front of them all the time, the right amount, borderline annoying, and till the point when it comes. Or like, one guy's like, I don't want to sound too salesy. Do you want to make money or you don't want to make money? Like, do you want to keep your gym open so you can help people or you don't? Yeah. It comes down to that conversation. You're not being annoying. You're reaching out to help them and, potentially save their life. And like the old school thought process used to be like, how many unsubscribes did I get? And I'm like, dude, I don't care. Like just keep, as long as we're outpacing the unsubscribes, those people don't want to be in there. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't. Yeah. And then, it's okay. No, that's true. And then one guy is like always scared about like, I won't say names obviously, but like, if like a spelling's misspelled in an email, I'm like, dude, who cares? Like, sometimes it's good. Get the volume out. Yeah. So yesterday, actually, I haven't really wrote campaigns a lot because Mike does it for RAF and Kayla does it for Next 4. So we're starting to actually market for Ignite now. Yeah, I saw that this morning. Actually. And did you see my error or no? No, I didn't see it. All right, so I sent out the first round. I didn't put any wait periods in the, so they got 10 emails in a row. so like 3 people responded though. I'm like, all right, so it worked. Yeah, I played it that way, but I forgot to do it. And I'm like, I don't even care. That's like, so funny that you say that. That really is. It's like, I still got you to respond. Yep. And I don't even care about that. Like, it's going to happen. You can't be like scared to make a mistake with this. You got to move fast and a lot of volume. I think at least. Yeah. That's it. I mean, digitally now it's just a numbers game. You said the other day when we were texting, you said like, going back to like in-person networking and events and stuff like that. It really has come full circle. The digital space, you got to do it. And you got to recreate yourself. Even on LinkedIn, like I said, like we used to be able to send 2,500 connection requests a day. Yeah, no, you're right. And one thing we're doing right now, I think I told you about this a little bit, is we call it like local leads. So we set up automations and we give an iPad to a local business. And that local business, we're giving $3 to $5. I think it's $5 at most of them. $5 off their visit. That's great. So at the counter, do you want Next 4 to pay for $5 of your meal? Oh, sure. That's exactly. We get their information and we're hitting those people up now. Dude, that's a home run. That's the story I was going to tell you. Was over the summer, I was walking into my local coffee shop that I walk into every morning, and it was like 5:30 in the morning, and there's people sitting outside. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, there's never anybody there, and it's like a whole family. And the guy was he was a car service. And he was doing exactly that. He was just sitting out there. He had bought like $1,000 worth of $5 gift cards. Amazing. He was giving them out. That's even better in person. We have an iPad there, but that's even better. Yes. I mean, same thing. I think his effectiveness is the same. He's giving them out with his card, and he's like, coffee's on me. I'm like, dude, my coffee's $9. I need 2 of those things, But you know what? I kept the thing in my car, and last week I had to go to Chicago, and I was like, I don't even want to bother with dealing with the Uber thing. I called him up and used them. So there you go, boots on the ground marketing. Yeah. That's seriously though. But there's still the back end automations you can put into that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's always a need for this stuff, but it's the way you present it to them. I like that idea of going there is pretty good.
It was pretty amazing. You know what? It made me like emotional about like people still doing that, you know? Like we're just trying to jam volume and, you know, all these different touch points and messaging. And it's like, guy got up, shook my hand, opened the door, gave me the gift card. And I was like, I'm definitely going to call this guy eventually.
Yeah. And we always talk about the marketing glove of having, you know, different avenues on your automation basically. So it's like you can, you know, it's hard to do a lot of things at once, but if you have 10 different avenues set up for like fulfillment, then what's the big deal, right? So one can be that, one can be your website, obviously, one can be your ads. You know, you can do it all.
Yeah.
Why not?
As long as you're tracking and measuring and you know, and like, that's what I was talking, when he picked me up, I said like, how many deals did you get off of those gift cards? He's like, decent amount. And I'm like, dude, you got to know your numbers, you know? For
sure. And you know, for people don't realize this, but the average gym, people say the retention rate's like 6% per month. I think it's more like 10 for the average gym. Might even be more. I don't think these people even know. So if you have 100 people, right, that's, you know, 6 times 12 right there. You're losing that many people in a year, basically. So you're basically losing almost all your members in a year. So you have to have people coming in. Whether you like it or not, marketing as a gym owner, you have to. That's how our business works. That's a reality, though.
That must be crazy for a gym owner that's like just getting started, like to be losing people like that.
I guess in the beginning you shouldn't lose that many. I guess the beginning should be a little more sticky.
Even still though.
But still though,
like losing a customer sometimes. Like I'm conditioned to it now, but it used to be like we ruined my week.
We lose about 100 plus a year.
Wow,
more than that.
That's
a reality.
Takes some training to.
It's
not get emotional over that.
Of course, but that's why the marketing side has to be so effective. It has to be. That's why the gym business is really a sales and marketing business, honestly.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
For sure.
If you have a good product, which we always harp on, we have to have a good product, good coaching, nice people to keep people in our product, right? But let's face it, I walk outside to the left or right, I find more gyms everywhere. So like it's out there, it's happening. And you know, I can't be biased either. As a like person that works out myself, like I like to try other businesses too.
Sure.
Other areas.
Absolutely.
So nothing wrong. I don't care. Somebody leaves and I want to try somewhere else. Have fun.
Yeah.
Let me know how it goes. Hopefully in the future you come back.
Yeah.
You know, some gym owners would get like salty about it. Like you can't, I'm way over that, you know?
No, if you did all that you could do, you know, like your process is good, your operations are good. Like you said, you got the right people and they still decide to go somewhere else. Eventually they'll come back.
Exactly. Maybe their buddy goes somewhere else and want to go with them. I can't be mad at that. You know, it is what it is.
It's pretty crazy to see what you guys have done because I was in this building when it was not like this at all.
It was supposed to be a brewery.
Right. When we were like talking about.
And you were going to do it, right?
Yeah. We had a whole business plan and everything with your dad to put a brewery in here and like a bocce court and all that stuff. And to see, I remember when the first floor was done, coming in here for a couple of months. I think I won one free month or something like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see. And then the next 4, when I saw you up there, I came and did a couple of those classes with Kayla here.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I think that concept up there is amazing. I think it's great.
It is really cool. And people are like, you know, our members are so of that community. Like they're like, when you open another location, they want us to do it.
Yeah.
Like
so do I.
We don't even know if we want to. But they're all bought into it.
You're gonna need like a patch up.
Well, we tried to in Melville, but we it fell through. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. But now Ignite happens, so we might just keep on growing this.
I just think the thought process behind it is like ahead of its time, where it's like I have ping ponged in and out of fitness my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And like I just got finished up with Orange Theory, and it was cool. I liked it, but there was just like I feel like I'm not building muscle, and like your guys' whole theory of like, and for women too, like all the women that I'm friends with and stuff, they're all into it. Yeah.
We hit it at the right time.
It's good.
But what I think is cool, John, is like from different industries and different jobs, you can always learn lessons. So what have you learned in the beverage industry that translates over to now in the marketing industry? Anything, or maybe not, but
I think I always struggled because in the beverage industry, I mean, I worked for huge companies like Anheuser-Busch and Heineken and all of those big breweries, and the marketing and the sales was always so disconnected. Like sales wouldn't talk to marketing and marketing wouldn't talk to sales, and marketing would come out with this tremendous program that would be like, this is going to light the world on fire, and sales would be like, this isn't helping me at all. So like, I think now, like, you know, we have delineations on our team between sales and marketing, but they're always talking to each other. And that's like the most important thing, you know, is like,
that's a really good point.
giving the feedback, like the salespeople who are on our calls, 10, 15 calls a day, talking to people all the time, you know, like our marketing team or the people who are on our marketing side, like they're eager for their feedback, and they'll put it in the messaging, they'll put it in the content that we're creating. So it's like, you got to really connect the two together. And I constantly think about, in the brewery world, how it was always a problem.
So what's a bad example of that, or a good example, either one?
Well, like we would, I'll give you a horrible example. Was my last job, it was for a company called CBA. Kona was underneath that, but there was a brewery called Wynwood, which was from down in Miami area, and they had a beer that was...
That's the art area, right? Wynwood?
Yeah, it's the art area.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's very like Latin. So they had a beer called La Rubia, which means the blonde one. And it's just like a simple, easy drinking beer. And we pumped, marketing was like, this has got to get in New York City. It's going to destroy Presidente. It's going to destroy Corona. And Anheuser-Busch was always looking for something that could like compete with those in like Latin ethnic markets. And they made us go into, I was in bodegas. I was in Harlem trying to sell, like the whitest Irish guy, you know, like trying to beg these people to take this in, and I'm like, this is not going to work, you know, like
they're not going to buy it in that
and it's
area.
like $40 a case, whereas like they're paying like $10 a case for Corona at the time, and it was just a huge disconnect between the two. And organizations that big too, it's hard to like put yourself in the middle. It's like once a decision's made,
it's hard to stay on the same page across the board, right?
100%. Yeah,
and they have so
100%.
much money that marketing they could afford to lose a little bit, I guess.
100%. And there's just, I mean, it's a shame. In those big corporations, there's people that are just going through the motions. You know, they're hiding in the bathroom half the time.
You think they really look at cost of acquisition in those companies?
I don't think
they
so.
had to have, though, right? But
I don't think so.
Isn't that scary, though?
I don't think so.
So they were just probably spending more to get people.
Spending more to get more. One year they tried to the first year I was there, they tried to give sales the power of marketing. And I had this like $1 million budget in New York City. And I was going into like these meetings with billboard companies on like the top floor of the Empire State Building.
That's really cool.
It was cool, but I'm like, I got no business being in here.
Yeah,
I got to go talk to the bartender down the street after this, you know.
That's like terrible leadership then.
Yeah, it was bad, but you know, I think they always know that it's a disconnect, but it's just
they just trying different ways. See what sticks. That is part of marketing, right? You got to try different ways and just kind of experience it, and you got to be open to trying these things. So, yeah, John. So obviously, you guys started a couple podcasts out of there, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
the real reason we started the business because we want to produce our own content, or produce content for people that wanted to produce content.
You have a whole podcast room there, really nice.
Yeah.
I was on it what 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, you were on the old one. There's a new one there now. The whole studio, we have about 3,000 square foot like mixed media studio. We've put like comedy shows on back there, plays. They're producing a music show right now called The War on Fear. That's going to come out soon, where it's just like a different band of musicians. But podcasting is what we have like the most established part of our business, or you know, the content that we're putting out. So we have Who Are These Guys, which is my partner and myself, a friend from high school, and then we have like a rotating series.
That's like business more, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of like our day-to-day.
Okay.
You know, just very like current events, topical. Jesse, my partner, has a podcast with one of Dana White's like childhood friends. This guy, Nick the Tooth, he's a jiu-jitsu guy.
Okay.
What else do we have? My friend Kurt, he does a podcast where he just talks into the microphone. It's crazy. He's got 4 kids. It's just about his life. He works for Manhattan Beer, actually.
Okay.
And then him and I have a podcast where we talk about, we make like sports football picks every week.
First down dog,
yeah.
right, or something?
Yeah. So the name is like, when we were in high school, we went to Lyndhurst, there was like a announcer who that's what he would say every time. So we have like the cut of him saying it every time we got a first down.
Does anybody like ever like really take your picks and like complain? Like,
yeah, all the time.
Seriously?
Yeah, all the time.
Fucking stupid.
And I'm like, dude, I make this up 5 minutes before we get on here. You know, like
and they take your picks and they throw money on.
We get messages all the time, like you guys are terrible. Like,
you even open it or no?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're like, we lost money because of you, and I'm like, dude, I say all the time, like I have no idea.
Is there regulations on that? Can you get like sued or no? How is that?
I hope not.
Do you guys like a disclaimer in the bottom of the page?
Probably we don't, but
all right.
But the thing with our podcast,
cut that part out.
That's all good. The thing with our podcast is like there's like a local aspect to it. Like no one's doing that part of it. You know, like everybody sees the opportunity of these podcasts, and it's such a big industry. And it's like, but I think that like there's a local aspect to it. So we're always trying to bring in local people or like people that are big in their community.
Yeah.
And I feel the effects of it. I live right next to Patchogue. I go out and Patchogue all the time. And 2 times a week, someone will come up to me and be like, "You're the guy from that podcast."
That's awesome.
You know, which is a cool feeling.
Yeah.
And
that's good for local businesses to know too.
It
they
is.
They work for their local businesses.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's, it could be so many things, you know. It could just be a way to like creatively get out what you got inside of you. It could be a way to get new customers. There's so many opportunities for it. And it's
authority in your business too.
100%.
And then, get new customers. The other day, somebody booked the call. I got on. I'm like, "How'd you hear about us?" Like, he watches the podcast. Jim Moore from Canada.
Wow.
I was like, "Holy shit!" Didn't even know we.
That's what it's like. It's working.
Far. Yeah.
That's
so
great.
That's a good thing to hear because, you know, I love, like, first off, with this podcast, I love doing this. I love talking business with other people, and like I love understanding different businesses and what's going through their minds. But also at the same time, it gives us a little authority and helps us, you know, produce some clients at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's it's 2 wins there.
Yeah. So we're trying to, so the businesses are split now. Digital Native is the LinkedIn business that we work in the packaging industry, and now Viola Media, which is what it was all under at one point, is our like studio content space, original content. So we have one client that we're working with right now. His name's Vince Gilmore. He's a funeral director, Nochi Funeral Home in West Babylon, and he was a guest on our show.
First in his industry to do it, probably.
Definitely the first in his industry to do it. He was a guest on our show. He was great, and we were just like, if you're into this, like, no one's doing this. Like, if you do this right, you know, like, this will help. This will help get you business. So he's on his. We just released his 7th episode today.
So what is he like? I wonder how it talks. Like, what is that? Like, what is it about? Is it like?
It's about like life, death, and business. So he'll talk about the industry, but mostly he's talking about, you know, his business and other people's businesses that he has on. His guests, like I said, he had Ally Quinta on, the UFC guy, who's a big real estate guy in Nassau County now. And
just keep like relevant in people's minds, right?
Yeah,
everybody's
exactly.
Gonna die, right? So
well, that's what it's funny. He's a funny dude, and you know, like, he's not like a buttoned up. You know, he's like, everybody's a customer potentially.
Are they called undertakers? No. What are they called? No.
That's a good question. I got to ask him that. I'm not sure.
I think they are, right?
I'm not sure. He's funny though. He thinks he's like the Picasso of dead people. Like, he'll make you look great. But he tells some good stories too about, like, you know, families that come in upset, and like he's got to be able to read the room. That's got
to be a tough thing. I would not want to be in those shoes.
It's a tough business for sure.
John, what's next for you guys? Like, what are you like? Nailing down, I know it's hard to tell, but are you nailing down those, you know, B2B sales automations? Like, that's what you're really going with, or what is it?
Yeah. So for Digital Native, we're really ramping up all of our marketing efforts for the packaging and pallet industry.
Okay.
It's just firming up, like, brought on a salesperson full time, you know, just our operations and stuff like that. We're good. We deliver great results, and now we're just really ramping up the sales.
And it's easier, a business like that, you know, you can like have those results. It's easier to sell it too.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And that's like the whole ethos of our business is just results-based marketing, which is really, really hard to get through to like some of our clients. And it's like, you know, what have you done for these people? Because like that's going to resonate most with whoever the next person that might potentially work for you. So, so that business, we're just growth next year. We're building out the team for Viola Media. We lose a tremendous amount of money every month just producing these podcasts for ourselves, but we love doing it, and that's like a decision that we've made.
Okay.
So now we're going to try to monetize that a little bit more, do a little bit more podcasts for clients, super select. We're always looking for like people that want to
tell their client stories and try to get them. Okay.
Yeah, and we're always looking for people who want to do a podcast but don't know how to do it, but maybe they have an audience or they're a comedian or something like that. We'll work together to like help you put it out. Okay. So we're trying to produce a little bit more
strategy as well.
Original content, yeah.
So somebody in your shoes that wants to be in your shoes, in the marketing space, content creation, podcast, whatever it is, younger person trying to get into it, what's the biggest advice you give them?
Just do it for free for somebody for as long as until you can get the results. I just got a guy the other day, like I need to up our content division for LinkedIn. I was on a call with a guy, like a webinar or whatever. One guy DM'd me out of the blue out of it. He's from like Turkey or something like that. Guy was buttoned up, great English. He's like, he sees our agency. He sees what we do. He's like, I need a case study. He's like, I want to work for you for free.
Okay.
Right out of the gate. And like, that's truthfully, you gotta like swallow a little bit. I mean, I was 38 years old when I came into this business, and like, we were doing stuff for people for free all the time in the beginning, just to get the case study, just to get the result.
Yeah. And that's what any business, like even the gyms too, like, you know, in the beginning, we did so much for free in the beginning. It's just, you know, prove what you're worth. And then you could package it up, market it, and then you can really sell it.
Yeah. Because it's like, everything takes time, you know. It's been 5 years since I've been doing this now, you know, and like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
5 years have gone by.
It's crazy.
And
because you like doing it too, that's why.
Yeah, if you love it, it doesn't matter, you know. And like I said, in the beginning, you need to prove to people that you can do what you say you're going to do. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. And don't be afraid to do it for free for a little while. If it's going to help you and it's going to help them, works out for everybody, just keep moving, you know.
And you gain trust and just keep building from there. Well, I appreciate you coming on, John.
Thanks for having me, man. Big fan.